Yes, there's a lot of mystery surrounding her death, but for the most part, it's just a sad story.
Yeah. Greetings, creatures! I'm Rachelle.
I'm Kalie.
And we are Paranoia Percentage. We're just two girls who are a little anxious about our world.
We're fascinated by cryptids, machination theories, and pretty much everything weird.
So if you like what we do here,
don't forget to hit that like button.
And subscribe to our channel.
So today, we're talking about something that is really popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
Online and on Netflix.
I don't really like calling someone's death popular, but
no,
yeah,
the case is popular.
Yeah,
right now. All of a sudden, too, it just kind of really blew up.
Well,
even though it's a couple of years old.
I think it's because of the new documentary on Netflix, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. Of course, we are talking about the death of Elisa Lam.
Right. Now, there are a lot of things that have happened at the Cecil Hotel. It's kind of some of the nicknames for it are the Death Hotel or the Suicide.
Yeah, I hate that name.
Yeah, so
that's a cattail.
There are lots of kitties around right now.
Yes.
So you'll probably see them in and out.
Mm-hmm. We're sitting on the floor. So you do what you gotta do.
But so the Cecil Hotel, there is a lot of mystery surrounding it, a lot of strange deaths and disappearances.
I almost feel like we could do a Cecil Hotel series.
We probably could.
We might do that. Actually, that might be coming.
At least today, we're going to be mostly talking about Elisa Lam.
But, we might spend some time later on down the road on Pigeon Goldie and Richard Ramirez. And yeah, we'll probably touch on a lot of things later. But today we're just going to talk about Elisa because, she deserves her own episode. She deserves our respect and some tears from me because I certainly cried a little bit during the documentary.
Right. During research, there were a lot of things that, yes, there's a lot of mystery surrounding her death. But for the most part, it's just a sad story.
Yeah.
And so
sad.
This particular video, there probably won't be a lot of funny goofs that you're used to seeing from the edits.
Yeah.
Elisa Lam was a college student who went to school in Canada.
She was from Canada.
Was she from Canada?
She was from British Columbia.
Okay. Yeah. And she posted a lot on social media and Tumblr.
Yeah, Tumblr in particular. You can still read her Tumblr blog as far as I know.
Yeah, I think you can. She has a lot of blogs online that you can still go on and comment on. And apparently she was a prolific writer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a very good writer. If you do go comment on her blogs, please be nice. Please be respectful.
Yes. She would post sometimes things that she was interested in, things that she loved, things that she was insecure about, things that she wasn't, that she was secure about.
Hang on, there's a cat behind you.
So she decided to kind of help with her own mental health, to take a little bit of a vacation to Los Angeles.
Part of her life goal was to travel, which I get. I'm the same way. I want to travel too.
Well, I think this was her first.
It was her first trip
to go by herself.
Canada, yeah.
And she was how old? 21.
21.
Yeah. So it was pretty much her first time going out on her lonesome.
All right, can you not claw at me? Hey, bud.
So the Cecil Hotel was kind of a tourist attraction, mostly because it was right in downtown Los Angeles, but it had really affordable prices, and that lured a lot of people in.
Mm-hmm.
They really thought that it was going to be a good place to stay because they were close to downtown.
Yep.
But it turns out...
That was very deceiving.
Yes.
The Cecil Hotel is located right on Skid Row, which you might have heard of. It's pretty infamous. Lot of homelessness in that area. A lot of
drugs and
violence and.
So it's not
a behind me.
My dude.
We're trying to film a serious video.
And one of the really sketchy things that this hotel management did was, in order to draw in more people, they rebranded the Cecil Hotel to be what was it called?
The Stay on Main.
The Stay on Main. Yeah. But the thing is, they didn't do that to the whole hotel. They only did it for floors 4, 5, and 6. Mm-hmm. So the first part of the building was for permanent residents in low-income housing. The second part was for the Stay on Main, which was supposed to be a luxurious hotel for tourists. And then the top part was the rest of the Cecil Hotel, where residents would stay temporarily. Sorry, lots of kitty cats.
Yeah, I apologize.
It's okay. So a lot of tourists and people from, especially outside of the country, they would come to the Stay on Main thinking that they were getting a good deal in a nice hotel with really friendly branding. So we moved rooms.
Yeah, the cats would not leave the green screen alone. So we've moved to my bedroom. We've locked ourselves in, and the cats cannot get to us. However, it does mean that we don't have green screen. So
for the remainder of this video.
Sorry. We tried. We can only do so much. Cats are wonderful, beautiful, amazing, truly evil creatures.
So Elisa Lam was kind of pulled into this idea of what the Stay on Main or the Cecil Hotel was, just like a lot of people. And she went, and unfortunately, as you were talking about Skid Row, what is the area in that around the hotel like?
So Skid Row is infamous for being a very high crime area. I actually, while we were watching the documentary, they were talking about Skid Row, and I mentioned to Kalie that one of the musicals that I was crew for when I was in college.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Thank you. I completely lost it. Little Shop of Horrors. It features Skid Row pretty prominently. It takes place on Skid Row.
Yeah, if you remember that, down on Skid Row. They're talking about this particular place.
Right. Which one of my best friends actually played a homeless man in that show for that song. So just to kind of give you an idea of what Skid Row is like, there's a lot of homelessness, there's a lot of crime, there's just a lot of unrest.
There is, yeah. It's not a particularly safe place to go, especially for somebody who is not from that kind of area or is not familiar with tent cities, for example. Yeah. And
Elisa wasn't even from the United States. Like, she's in a totally different country. She was not prepared for the area she was staying in. And as far as I'm concerned, the Cecil Hotel, that's false advertising.
It is. The way that they brand it does not
that's
reflect what kind of area this is. And so people are drawn in, and they're naive, and they don't know how to navigate that kind of area or situation. And so people are definitely caught off guard, for sure. So Elisa Lam went there, and she stayed for a little while. She actually stayed with a couple of other girls, which
for a little while, yeah.
I'm unsure why she was in that room with a few other girls. Because she didn't know anybody.
No, I think they had set up part of the hotel as like a hostel situation.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's how she ended up with roommates who she didn't know. Yeah, they had bunks set up in the rooms, and so it would be, 3 or 4 single women in one room. And it's just that's a tough situation for somebody who's not used to that.
Yeah, and apparently she was tough to stay with. Elisa Lam, unfortunately, apparently was acting really erratic during the time that she was staying with those girls. She would write little notes to them, like go home, get out, leave, that kind of thing. She would write them and put them in their beds. And of course, these girls were complaining a lot about her to the hotel staff.
She was clearly having a mental episode, and no one helped her. The hotel employees, she went down to the lobby and was talking to some of them and clearly acting erratic, and no one asked her if she was okay. No one asked her if they could call someone to help her. No one did anything. And I'm just, that doesn't sit right with me.
Even the general manager at the time said, I don't know, it's Skid Row and things like that happen all the time.
Yeah, which I want to talk about how sketch that lady was too, but we'll get into that. If you haven't watched the documentary, I recommend watching it. It's on Netflix right now.
I think that general manager knew something.
I absolutely think so.
But okay, so little did they know that Elisa Lam actually had been diagnosed with bipolar and having had episodes of psychotic behavior in the past. And that's no excuse, in my opinion, even if they thought it was drugs. Nobody bothered to inquire as to why she was acting the way she was. Instead, they just moved her to a room by herself and fixed the complaint problem with those residents.
They fixed their problem. They didn't fix her problem.
No, they did not fix her problem or help her in any way. So in February of 2013, Elisa Lam was reported missing.
Yeah, she generally would call her parents every single day to check in with them, and she didn't call. And of course, that worried them, as it should any good parent.
And so obviously they were concerned about her, and they called, they reported her missing. The hotel staff apparently had no idea what was going on or what happened to her. They did go into her room and found that the room was disheveled and messy, but not necessarily indicative of foul play.
No, all of her stuff was left there. She hadn't taken anything with her.
She definitely wasn't robbed. The door was not broken into or anything like that. And throughout a 19-day investigation, they investigated her past social posts. They found a video, which we'll talk about that here in a second.
They searched the entire hotel except for the part where she was.
Right. The LAPD claimed that they even went up on the roof with search dogs.
Which, if you know the story, she was found on the roof in the water tank.
Right.
They went onto the roof and they didn't look in. There were 4 water tanks. They didn't look at any of the water tanks.
Nope.
How do you miss something that big, that glaring?
They apparently didn't even go near the water tanks.
Yeah.
On the roof. Why would you search it's like they walked up there, looked around and said, nope, she's not here, and then walked back down.
That's what it feels like.
But the only reason why she ended up being discovered, this churns my stomach.
Yeah. It makes me sick, but it's from a disgust at how awful humans are.
Apparently, the guests in the hotel started to notice some changes with their water pressure. And when their water would come on, it was discolored.
It tasted funny.
Brown.
And it smelled weird.
It was described as tasting sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, this water that people had been bathing in, brushing their teeth with, drinking was from the same water that Elisa Lam had been decomposing in for 19 days.
Yeah.
And that was the only reason she was found, because there were so many complaints about the water. So, which, by the way, this is just my opinion here. I don't know how many days it takes to contaminate the water to get to that point, but wouldn't there have been some complaints prior to that the water was a little bit brown and maybe the pressure was a little bit off, and then they only fixed it when it was really, really bad?
I mean, that just kind of sounds like
slumlord behavior.
Well,
right?
the woman that was running the hotel at the time, if you watch the documentary, you can see how she reacts to a lot of things and her demeanor when talking about this case. And whether she had something to do with it or not, the gross negligence of the situation, that she failed. She 100% failed in her duties.
A lot of people seem to fail in this case.
A lot of people failed. Well, yeah, the cops who supposedly searched the roof. How do you not go into the water tank? If I'm not mistaken, and I might be, but I believe that they said that they did like aerial searches with helicopters and whatnot. The lid was off of the water tank when the maintenance man found her. He said that the lid was off, and he climbed up there, noticed the lid was off, looked down, and he saw her floating.
But apparently nobody questioned him about this for months.
Yeah, people were saying, "Oh, she had to be murdered because the lid was closed because he closed it
when he left before he reported it to the police."
He said that.
But nobody wanted to look into that or ask him about it. And so again, negligence on all fronts, except for this maintenance man. I feel so bad for him.
Oh yeah,
I feel so bad
he was
for him.
practically in tears the entire time he was talking about it in the documentary.
I believe his story. I think that he did the best he could, but there were so many other people on so many fronts that even if they weren't involved on a machination level thing, they were negligent. What we're going to show you right now is the 2-minute and 26-second video on YouTube. This is Elisa Lam. She's walking into the elevator at the Cecil Hotel on the night that she disappeared.
In the clothes that were found in the water tank with her.
That she had taken off, or somebody had taken off. She was found naked, but her clothes were in the...
They were in the water tank. Yeah, they were in the bottom of the water tank.
Now she's looking left and right.
Like she's looking for somebody, like somebody might be after her, which we know she had a history of bipolar disorder. Her sister did say that she would sometimes have delusions, and it is possible that she saw something that wasn't there. It's possible that somebody was there.
Because she's standing there like she knows someone's around the corner. And even when she's not in the way of the doorway, it doesn't close. And it seems to me like right now she's trying to get the sensor to show it closed. Now there's a part here that some people say that they can see another person's foot here coming up. Right now she's kind of off to the side. You can see the edge of her skirt. And then she's going to turn her body. So she's motioning something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the next time she goes out.
She looks like she's freaking out. She looks like she's really freaking out. She's like pressing all the buttons now.
Pushing all these buttons, maybe to try to make it go.
And we know that at this point she was on the 14th floor, which she was staying on the 5th floor. So how did she get to the 14th floor? Why did she get to the 14th floor?
And she had to have done it another way that wasn't the elevator, or
right, because there was no other elevator footage of her. Okay, so maybe this is the point where the other shoe is supposedly.
Yeah.
Looks like she's talking to somebody.
See, here's the thing too, which we'll talk about with the timing. She seems like she's doing that very slowly, which we'll talk about the timing here. Yeah, see, she seems like she's talking to somebody on her right.
Yep.
And maybe pleading with them. She's just standing there. Why are the elevator doors going? So that's the part right at the end. Yeah. Some people believe that they
saw the foot. That looked like the back of her flip-flop to me.
I agree with that, yeah. But there is that possibility, because some people have really studied this video down to a T.
Yeah, and we have not done that.
So something that you might notice in that video, and I will point out each one of these this video. The bottom of the video, the timestamp is muddled.
Yeah,
it is
really muddled.
Yes, it's illegible. It's hard to tell where things are, what the numbers are, what they mean, and then when they switch time. Some people that have really studied the video are at least counting the seconds and milliseconds, and they are not accurate.
Yeah, there's a 53-second gap. I think it was 53 seconds
that are missing.
Yeah. And you can tell it too at the end of the video, which that wasn't in the version that we just watched. But at the end of the video, there is a bit where the elevator starts to close, and and then all of a sudden it like jumps, and then
6 whole inches.
Yeah. That's not normal. There's a cut there. There's a cut of the video there.
And the elevator, after Elisa Lam is no longer on the elevator and out of the footage, the elevator closes and opens and closes and opens and closes again. And one of those is the one that you were talking about, where it just jumps. So there is a segment.
It was the first close. It was the first close, I believe, where it jumped.
Okay.
Yeah. Which to me, that says, oh, well, maybe they cut out the part where the killer runs past.
Right. Or if somebody was holding up the elevator to make it not go. Maybe that's the person that it saw, or maybe they went back in, because there's a button on the inside of the elevator, which is one of the ones that people believe that she pushed, was a hold elevator button.
Which it holds the elevator for 2 minutes, I believe they said.
Right. And so that would account for a lot of the time that she was standing outside of the elevator. But then why would it keep opening and closing again?
Unless somebody's pressing the button. Maybe
the elevator malfunctioned, but what are the chances that the elevator malfunctions at the same time that she's having a manic episode, a psychotic episode? I mean, there's possible,
a lot of coincidences with this case. Like the tuberculosis thing, having the same name as her.
Skid Row at the time this is one of the theories as to what happened with her, which to me it sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. Okay, so Skid Row at the time, this is real. Skid Row was, unfortunately, a lot of people were suffering from a tuberculosis outbreak that had been starting to go around the homeless community there. And it just happens to be that one of the treatments for tuberculosis is something called lam-elisa, spelled the same way as Elisa Lam. One of the theories is that she was some kind of bioweapon to bring tuberculosis to that area, or she was there to research it or something like that. There is also another theory that the government didn't want people to, maybe not widespread government, but the local government did not want people to kind of freak out about the outbreak of tuberculosis. So they didn't want people to be Googling lam-elisa and come up with these results to cause widespread panic about tuberculosis. And so some people believe that the whole Elisa Lam story was created to have something Googleable that would come up first thing when people typed in those particular words.
Which I think is horribly disrespectful to her memory and to her family.
There is a theory that she, as a real person, never existed and everything was fabricated.
Yeah, that's BS.
Can I just say my percentage right now?
Sure.
No. Zero.
That's horrible. You're a despicable person for thinking that.
No, Elisa Lam was a real person. It's just, in this case, I think it is coincidence that it was spelled the same way, just backwards. Elisa is a common first name. Well, not common, but it is a known first name, and Lam is a known last name. So we saw her family. They look like her.
Yeah. Obviously they're real people. What's wrong with you?
But that is one of the theories about the tuberculosis outbreak. No, I don't think she was a bioweapon or anything like that.
Stupid.
And
we've entertained a lot of stuff on this show.
That's not one of them. Another coincidence that I think just happened to be part of this, but I know that you typically don't think that coincidence is necessarily a thing.
I'm not really a big believer in coincidence now.
So the bookstore, it was called the Last Bookstore.
Yeah. Can
you tell us about her affiliation with that particular bookstore?
She found a bookstore in downtown LA and she bought some books. And she was talking to, I don't know if it was the owner or the cashier, but somebody in the store, one of the store employees. She was talking about how she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to carry the books, like travel with them, whether it was that the books were too heavy or just too cumbersome. She was worried, she wouldn't be able to pack them. And so the books were actually delivered to her at the Cecil Hotel or Stay on Main, whichever you want to call it. It's the Cecil. Don't rebrand.
Yeah. It's the Cecil.
There was video footage, the hotel security footage of her coming into the building with these two men who had delivered the books to her. And so, of course, people decided to suspect these two men. They were bookstore employees. They never came back at any point after. Like, they gave her the box, they left.
And just, it was books.
Yeah.
But one of the coincidences that some people found was that when you go to the Last Bookstore, that's the name of the bookstore, when you go to their website, the registrar domain has a zip code. And when you search that zip code, it just happens to be the town that Elisa Lam is now buried in Canada.
Yeah.
Which...
that's weird.
Strange.
That's very weird.
I can't piece together why that is, but I'm chalking it up to coincidence. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people think that it's some huge machination, that the government is trying to hide something or cover it up. Why would they leave these little clues like that? There's no purpose for them to leave that particular little clue.
No, if you're part of a machination that big, you're probably smart enough to cover your tracks.
Yeah, and not bury her in the zip code that aligns with the website's registrar.
Yeah, that's...
No, I don't believe in that one. Another possible, what a lot of people kind of chalk this up to a huge machination, is apparently a few days prior, she had retweeted or shared a story about, I don't know if it was a serious story or if it was a joke, but a story about the government working on a project about invisibility. And she shared this online. And apparently a lot of people think that the government was trying to get rid of her because she knew too much. But she just tweeted an article.
I'm a big one for government machination theories. I am. I love the stuff. I don't put any stock in that one.
It's so ridiculous.
That's pretty far-fetched. That's a long walk to get there. It's a long walk to get there.
Well, that's about as far-fetched as the musician.
Okay. I'm legitimately
angry about
this. This poor Mexican artist.
He was a death metal musician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hail from Mexico. He had stayed at the Cecil Hotel a full year prior to Elisa staying there. A lot of his music videos, his music talked about death, murder, morbid stuff. His stage name was Morbid. People started assuming, just deciding, very Salem witch trial style here, that this man murdered her.
It was like a Salem witch trial because there was no basis on it.
None at all. He literally wasn't even in the country. He had nothing. Mm-hmm. He stayed at the same hotel as her a year before.
Right.
That is where the connection ends. Come on. And people ruined this poor man's life. He started getting death threats. Mm-hmm. He was just hounded online. People started unsubscribing from his, he had a YouTube channel. All of his accounts actually got suspended. All of his social media accounts got suspended because people were reporting him left and right. Mm-hmm. He quit making music. This poor guy's entire livelihood was shut down because people were on a witch hunt.
Because a bunch of theorists that weren't really theorists. They are not internet sleuths. If you do this, if you are going after him, you are not an internet sleuth.
No, you're a despicable human being.
You are a jerk. I said it.
If you are going to ruin somebody's life, you better have proof that they did it. Yeah. And if you don't have any proof, what is that thing that the law says? Innocent until proven guilty?
I can see the fumes coming off you right now. He had posted a video about him being at the Cecil Hotel 12 months prior. Mm-hmm. That is it.
That's it.
And his whole life has just been
people
totally
saw
disrupted.
How he looked. They saw the death metal, the goth thing, which is, the black
art.
It's art. It's music. I almost can't even talk about this because I'm so angry. Because, I was that kid in high school. I listened to music like that, and I dressed in all black, and I wore the black eyeliner. I'm not a murderer. Neither is this poor man. Leave him alone, please.
Another theory, possibly, is that Elisa Lam was playing something called the elevator game. And this kind of delves into what a lot of people think is a supernatural reason why she ended up dead.
Yeah.
And so apparently in the elevator game, I'm not totally sure how it works, but essentially you have to go to a certain floor and you say something, and this woman, this ghost is supposed to appear behind you, and you're supposed to totally ignore her.
Now this is specific to the Cecil Hotel, I assume? because it has its haunted history?
It's
'Cause
not
it does.
specific
We'll
to...
talk about that in a later episode.
It's not specific to the Cecil Hotel. It's,
Okay.
I believe it originated in Japan. It's just something that you do in certain buildings.
Okay.
With, you just do it in any elevator.
Like the Bloody Mary thing?
Kind of like the Bloody Mary,
Okay.
yeah.
Don't say that again. We've said it twice now.
So you're supposed to go to a certain floor. You say something. Maybe you say your name. I can't remember. But this ghost will appear behind you, and you're supposed to totally ignore her and pretend she doesn't exist, even if you know she's there.
Okay.
And then you are supposed to try to go down to the first floor. If the elevator takes you down to the first floor, then you may get off the elevator and keep walking, and then that's it. The game is over. If you push the first floor and she takes you up to I think it is the 14th floor, which is the one she was on.
Yeah, she was on the 14th floor.
If it takes you to the 14th floor, then you have to continue playing the game. And in which case, you have to keep ignoring her and pretending she doesn't exist. Now, Elisa Lam, some people say, because of the video, it's obvious that if she did see this woman, she was not ignoring her at all.
It definitely looked like she was talking to somebody in the video.
Yes. So in that case, if it was part of the elevator game and she wasn't ignoring the ghost, that the ghost kills you. Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's one of the theories as to why she looks like she's talking to no one, whether it's part of the game or just playing out the fact that the Cecil Hotel has a really seeded past and could be very haunted.
So we've discussed ghosts on this channel many times. We definitely believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't believe a ghost can actually physically harm you. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just my opinion.
Convinced her
to harm herself?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I do believe the Cecil Hotel is probably haunted. There's been too many deaths recorded there for it not to be.
I totally agree. That place has so much going on, so much of a past that I don't know. I feel like there has to be something. You are of the belief that it was something with the staff. Right?
I was, before watching the documentary, I was 100% that someone on staff at the Cecil Hotel killed her. I was 100% on that train, and then I watched the documentary and I got more information than what I previously had, which is why you need to have all the facts before you make assumptions. Because I did it. Everybody does it.
I partially agreed with you, especially after seeing the issues with the footage possibly being altered to cover something up.
Yeah, there's clear evidence that the footage was altered.
Yeah.
That's not even debatable, really, that it was altered because it was slowed down. There's a portion of it missing.
The head of the LAPD at the time had made a statement that he was not sure if their media team, before releasing it to independent media companies, or if the independent media companies had released it, he wasn't sure. Had edited it, altered it. He said he wasn't sure. However, he said pretty certainly that the hotel.
I believe his words were, the hotel definitely had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I don't understand that. How can you be sure that one did not do it and the other ones you're like, maybe. So the LAPD apparently does not know who altered this footage, but he's not saying that it wasn't altered. He's saying he doesn't know for sure who altered it.
Right.
So that was part of why I kind of agreed with you that maybe it was some kind of conspiracy with the hotel staff. And in which case, who do you think could have done it with the hotel?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the woman who ran the hotel, and I don't remember her name, but she's in the documentary.
The general manager at the time.
Yeah, the blonde lady. She is very sketch. A lot of the things that came out of her mouth did not match the facial expressions that were on her face as she was saying it. Like, she's talking about how sad it is and how, but her face is not saying that. Her face is not saying that at all.
She looked a lot like she was trying to hide smiles.
Frequently, she looked like she was trying to hide smiles in the corner of her mouth. That's not okay.
And she started to talk about the fact that all of the deaths and everything were exciting.
She did.
And
she did say that. Yeah. That's not okay either. People died.
While she was being questioned about a very recent death of Elisa Lam.
I don't necessarily think that she herself had something to do with it. I think she knows more than she's saying.
I think she was trying to cover her back in a lot of ways. I mean, because of her own negligence, because of her staff's negligence.
I definitely think there was negligence involved.
She was trying to cover
think
herself.
A lot of it was hers. Well, yeah, because how the heck did she get up on the roof? The hotel should have made that impossible.
But instead,
which actually, Elisa's parents attempted to sue the hotel for that very reason.
For a good
and
reason.
Unfortunately, they lost the case, which I don't understand at all.
Well, their whole thing was that they claim that this door was, the door to the roof was secured by, you had to have a key card.
And if you push the door open, there was an alarm would go off.
But some people that have visited the hotel have pushed that door and alarms don't go off. So that's a lie. That being said, even so, there were no precautions from
the fire escape.
The fire escape. Anyone could go up and down from the fire escape, which I get, but also there have to be some kind of alarm set. If somebody goes from the fire escape to the roof, there should be an alarm that goes off, in my opinion. Something to keep the public from going up there.
Yeah. Especially because the Cecil Hotel has a history of jumpers, of people committing suicide by jumping.
So yeah, I think a lot of it with the edited footage, whatever it was, I think that general manager definitely could have been covering herself. However, I don't think that one of the staff members did it. I think she did it herself.
Well, like I said, I was 100% on board that somebody on the staff, now that I've watched the documentary, it's a 50-50 shot. And if that's the case, I think it's a situation of they coerced her up onto the roof. They coerced her to get herself into the water tank, and then they left her there. I do think she drowned. I do think that it wasn't a situation of somebody like holding her under or anything. There was no evidence of that. There's no real way for somebody to have killed her and then thrown her in.
Because of the ladders to get up there, it would have been very hard to carry a body.
I do think that she climbed herself in there of her own power.
A lot of evidence suggests that she definitely could have done this to herself. As we said before, she was bipolar with psychotic episodes.
And that's why I'm about 50-50 now.
She was put on several different medications, 4 or 5, depending on who you ask. And one of them was an antipsychotic. In her past, she had had episodes like this before. And after her toxicology report had come out, which was 4 months after her death, which is why a lot of people were really suspicious, but the coroner had kind of cleared that up, saying he was waiting on the toxicology to make a definite decision on this.
Yeah, and I don't think that the coroner had any kind of, there was no cover-up there. A lot of people think that he was involved in cover-up because of a discrepancy on the
form, the coroner's report.
Yeah, which people make mistakes. I do believe him.
Yeah, there was a cross out, and that was it. And it literally said error, and there was a signature next to it.
Like when you make a mistake writing out a check.
So it had taken them a while to get the toxicology report back, and it turns out that not only was she not on any recreational drugs, like was suspected at one point, to make her act bizarrely, but also she had not been taking her own medications. They were in her system, but they were very, very light. And so apparently she had stopped taking them when she went on vacation to the hotel. In which case, it seems to me like maybe because of days of ramping up of bizarre behavior, of being especially gleeful and energetic at the bookstore, and then being bizarre in front of her roommates or whatever they're called, maybe she was on an episode.
So, okay, this is my main theory, I think, because we know that she was having some sort of episode. We know that she went downstairs and had altercation with staff. We know that they did not help her. I think they were trying to stop her from bothering people, stop her from freaking out, trying maybe not even necessarily trying to calm her down, but I think that they were trying to talk to her. Somebody was. She was trying to get away from them. They were following her. I think she maybe ran herself up to the roof. They followed her up there. She climbed into the water tank to get away from them, and they left her there.
That is a good theory, because then that would explain
It explains everything, really.
the edited footage, the possible cover-ups.
Yep.
How she got there in the first place, and maybe they weren't even violent about it.
Mhm.
Maybe she just had it because obviously she was
having an episode, yeah.
So maybe she assumed, because part of her psychotic episodes was that she thought people were coming after her and that she was in danger.
Yeah, her sister said that.
Yeah,
that
that
she
happened
had those,
a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe in that case, the person was just trying to get her to leave.
Mhm.
And
and instead of dealing with the problem,
Mhm.
they left her there and she drowned.
Right, because they didn't want to be implicated.
In which case, it's not a case of murder, but it's definitely a case of negligence. You know somebody has crawled in there and you don't do anything, you're responsible.
I mean, that's still interference with the crime scene investigation.
True.
If you don't report it or don't say anything to police,
Mhm.
if you are questioned and don't say anything.
I don't think that the police department, the LAPD, is part of the conspiracy. I don't think that. I do think that they're incredibly negligent and not good at their jobs.
No.
At all. Or she would have been found earlier when they checked the frickin' roof.
Or when they apparently did aerial searches and nobody saw that the hatch was open, even though it absolutely was, according to the maintenance man, which nobody even asked him until months later. Afterward.
Yeah, people started suspecting him before they asked him anything.
Right. As far as percentages go, a couple of them were just absolutely they're ridiculous. Not a thing.
Yeah.
The witch hunt things are ridiculous.
Yeah, leave that poor artist alone. Leave him alone. Leave Morbid alone. Also, I want to say, Morbid, if you decide you want to make music again, holler at us and we will help you in any way we can, because we absolutely believe you had nothing to do with this. And you went through some awful stuff and you don't deserve that, and we would like to help you. So.
But I'm going to entertain the idea of supernatural or the elevator game. And in which case, I'm going to give it a 10%.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily the elevator game, but I do want to say that as far as all supernatural possibility.
I'm going to go maybe 4%.
4%? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right.
Mainly because I believe my theory.
Fair. No. Okay, so what is your percentage on somebody purposefully wanted to kill her or have her climb in there?
40%.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on that one.
I think I'm at a
mainly because I believed that wholeheartedly before watching this documentary, and now I'm seeing more possibilities of her having an episode.
What about somebody accidentally or negligently leading her to where she ended up and then not saying anything?
I'm going to say 55% because I want to save 5% for her just having an episode and getting in there.
Okay, so you're 55% on somebody accidentally or negligently leading her to there and not saying anything.
Yep.
I think on that one, I think I'm at 10%. So that puts my total right now to 25.
Again, we don't math on this podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's no point.
Okay, so what about, what was your percentage? You said 5% on her just having an episode.
I'm going to say 5% for her just having an episode and just climbing in there.
Yeah. I think the rest of mine, the 75, is that she did it all on her own. And I do think though that even with that, there has to be some negligence on the part of the hotel, that there was
because they didn't help her. Well, there's no alarm, and they didn't help her when she was clearly having a mental breakdown.
No one helped her. They just moved her to solve the problem of the complaints.
Which, this is a problem in our country anyway.
Yeah. So, sorry that this wasn't like a fun, laughy episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there are theories that we didn't mention in here, or if you have some ideas for evidence that we did not present here. Yeah. So put it in the comments, and we respond to almost all comments.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let us know, and we'll probably heart you. And
on the YouTube comments, hit us up on Facebook. We have Tumblr, Twiddler. Yep. Twiddler. Instagram, Spotify, Anchor,
pretty much anywhere Breaker, on social
Stitcher.
Media. We are there.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
So hit us up anywhere. Let us know what you think, and let us know if there are any other true crimes that you want us to talk about.
Yeah, and we will do more funny episodes. So that's generally our thing. That's what we do primarily. But
we usually just kind of goof around and stuff. But with this one, it was just kind of one of those things where we really wanted to talk about it after we heard about it and after we got more information about it, and it was just something that we felt really compelled to talk to you guys about.
Yeah. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. I do. She hates everyone.
I don't know you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Rachelle.
I'm Kalie.
And we were
Paranoia Percentage.
You can find us on Twitter at Paranoia Percent, Tumblr as Pdubs Podcast, and Facebook and Instagram as Paranoia Percentage.